Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm here with Tom Watson from Cundalls. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Mike. Very good.
Thanks very much for being willing to join us and be interviewed on the Business Spotlight series and share your business journey with us. As always, if you could start off and just let us know a bit more about who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, please, Tom.
Yeah, so I'm Tom Watson, and I'm a chartered surveyor, and I own and run a business called Cundalls, which is based in Malton, North Yorkshire, which is a very long established firm. They were originally established in 1860, and since that time have worked in various different guises over the years and grown and shrunk and grown and had various connotations. I joined the business 20 years ago in 2006. I had a little bit of a break when I got headhunted by a national firm in 2010. And then I came back within a year and actually bought the business, knowing some of the problems that were within the business and some of the opportunities that were
Yeah,
there. So yeah, Cundalls is a very, very old-fashioned, multidisciplined firm of surveyors dealing with residential properties, commercial properties, agricultural properties, and then every facet of those, be it management, sales, lettings, professional advice, and auctions.
brilliant. Thank you for that little potted history there. So let's get into that a bit more. In terms of your experience or since owning the business and taking over, what were I suppose, the values into the business that you wanted to put in to perhaps solve some of the challenges there and the kind of reasons people use you,
Yeah,
customers want to
so
come to you?
so Cundalls are a very, we are an old-fashioned firm,
Mhm.
hence why we've been going so long, and we have fairly traditional values in a very modern world. But I
Mhm.
think ultimately people want service, and they want common sense advice, which I think is what we give, and we're certainly a step away from certain larger corporate businesses which have to toe the party line, so to speak. And as a business, we've got certain clients who we have dealt with as a firm for, two, three, four generations of family members, particularly on the agricultural rural estate side. So they have trust in us, and we've got trust in them, and we work well together. In terms of me becoming, um, or our family becoming owners of the business. I've been at Cundalls, and great business, fantastic reputation, and a really good client base. But without being too disrespectful to the previous partners, they'd all done very well. We're all of a
Mhm.
certain age, as a lot of businesses get to, where they'd been successful, um, possibly slightly taking their eye off the ball or not moving forward with the times in certain sectors of the business. And in the recession of 0708, certain factors suddenly came into play in terms of, there was very successful parts of the business which
Yeah,
ultimately were just carrying poorer performing parts. Um, but it was trying to adapt to that change that I think some of the older partners were struggling with. So it's a really good example. We had a furniture and fine art sector
yeah,
department, but we didn't have our own sale room. And when you costed in the moving items to the sales, moving them back from the sales to storage, porterage, no buyers, all these, it was, being very frank, losing money hand over fist and being carried by the other businesses.
yeah,
And with respect to the previous partners, they weren't maybe prepared to make those difficult decisions. Um, and we had to come in and restructure the business in terms of sides like that. A certain office that had been opened in a city centre location where probably more deemed to be a rural facing business, and the personnel maybe wasn't quite right in that. So after those difficult couple of years, we got this opportunity to come in, had to take a lot of risk, a lot of difficult decisions, restructure the business, but I knew where the opportunities were and I knew where the problems were. And the key factor with this business, which I was very lucky compared to starting afresh on your own, is I knew we had a
Mhm.
fantastic client base, a very loyal client base,
Yeah.
and sectors within that business that were very profitable and very good and could easily be grown as well. So there was a lot of difficulty and hard decisions, but ultimately, I knew there was the kind of light at the end of the tunnel.
You had the vision to move it on
Yeah,
for kind of more
definitely.
modern times. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, in terms of uh, what the future looks like for you now, obviously that was say oh 07, oh 08 and 2010 when you took over. What are the challenges and opportunities that you've got ahead of you at the moment, Tom, for your sector and for your business?
I think it's really hard to say, Mike, because as a business and since 2010, so kind of 16 years, which is scary now, we've grown year on year in terms of turnover and profit, and we broadly plod along at similar levels or slightly grow each year. And we run in a very weird sector, particularly in the agricultural side, where we have a good base of management work where we know on the start of the year we've got certain agricultural management from estates that we manage and residential lettings that we manage where that is bread and butter work that's coming in. We and everything else, whatever we do, however many marketing policies we put in place or not, or
Mhm.
meetings we have, we generally at the end of the year kind of look and say, yeah, we've broadly had a similar number of valuations for professional bank valuations and loan security valuations coming. We've broadly sold a similar number of properties. Um, and we are quite laid back and old fashioned. We don't really set
Mhm.
targets. It's just everybody work hard. We work on trust. We don't make everybody sit at the desk 9 till 5. We work on trust. If you put the hours in, we'll see whether you
Mhm.
get the rewards. And if you get to the end of the year and you've billed bugger all, to be frank, well, we know something's wrong and all the rest.
Yeah.
In terms of challenges, we're a very, as I say, multidiscipline business. We've got our fingers in all sorts of pies. I think everybody keeps going on about AI, and
Yeah.
I possibly naively and rather old-fashionedly look at that and think, yeah, there's going to be some disruption. I'm maybe a bit blind to it within our small rural sector industry in that I still think people want service and I think people want to
Mhm.
deal with people. And a really good example of that, in my view, is banks. In the last 10, 20 years, loads of banks have shut their doors. Um, and you speak with any client as we do in a lot of business facing commercial environments that we deal with and we
Sure.
get constantly, oh, I'm sick of being on hold for an hour, I'm dealing with a call center in some foreign country, I just want to speak to somebody, I just want a service, I just want to have my hand held or feel like I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
being being looked after. And I think that with any sector of business, I think where you can actually offer a personal service, um, that AI can be beneficial in terms of we've got great information at our fingertips. And I just perceive it as, historically, I would maybe Google for some information and then I'd have to sift through all the various websites to find the answer. And it is great that now I can go on, ChatGPT or whatever and kind of instantly get reassurance on something or find out a bit of information on something. So it's like everything, you know, um, using dictation and computers didn't get rid of our secretaries. We have a
Yeah.
better, more streamlined process so we can do better work and offer a better service. And I see AI as that. Um, I think the thing I'm seeing at the moment on our estate agency side of our business, particularly in the last kind
Mhm.
of year, is we're getting more and more agents doing social media content and videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Definitely
quite
see
old
that in the high
fashioned,
street.
and I've got quite a few colleagues. I didn't want to be a TV presenter. I wanted to be an estate agent.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's like anything. I think any marketing is good. These videos are good. I sometimes think this is sounding very insulting or naive in a way. I think sometimes the agents are maybe selling themselves more than the properties in some instances, but ultimately as well, it's like anything. As a valuer and as a chartered surveyor who goes around doing a lot of loan security, bank valuation, and expert witness work, you can present a property absolutely fantastically. The greatest videos, the greatest photography, but if you overvalue it, it ain't going to sell. You can have the
Yeah.
best marketing ever, but if you price it 100 grand more than it should be, it won't sell.
It's only
And
worth what someone will
likewise,
pay for it at the end of the
yeah,
day.
and the market dictates. It's all about price.
Mhm.
And then the other side of the business, which I haven't really touched on, we also run jointly Malton livestock auctioneers. So we still run the cattle market in
Mhm.
Malton. I don't personally have an involvement on the day to day of selling in the auction. That's my colleagues Will and Keith. But as a business, our biggest issue in some respects is that lease is literally rolling on. And
Mhm.
there's talks of a new molten market being built, but the economics, certainly from our internal business perspective, make little or no sense. Um, we have to outlay a great deal of cash flow at a great deal of risk.
Mhm.
Um, but it does bring in other professional work, especially on the agricultural side, obviously. So as a business, it's very hard for us to plan, be it on a kind of on a short term and a long term strategic level for members of staff as to, where are we going to be in 5 or 10 years' time? Is that market going
Yeah.
to be running? The answer is we genuinely don't know.
Interesting. So you've got a lot going on in terms of the makeup of your business there. So if we look at kind of you self personally, Tom, and that journey from takeover to where we are now, how would you describe that? Say, if there's one word, one or two words, and then expanding on it.
Um, I just think with ever in any business, it's just hard work and determination. And I think that
Mhm.
people often say, "Oh, you're lucky. You were lucky. You were in the right." Well, I think everybody makes their own luck.
Mhm.
Every day people get opportunities, and a lot of people miss them. It goes past them. They don't see an opportunity that's there that they can strike. And I particularly see this with the younger generation coming through in terms of picking up the phone. I'm really one for speaking to people. You can send emails, which are great and quick and easy, but I find again, pick up if pick up the phone, do a deal, speak to somebody. It's amazing how you know rather than just sitting on something, if you're proactive and get on with things, it can lead to so many different things. So um, yeah, just hard. The harder work, the harder you work, the more luck you get. And we have, just increased kind of every sector of our business, be it estate management work, be it professional valuation work, um, be it, our agency side. I think we'd probably punch above our weight in terms of the size of our firm, in terms of the area we cover, particularly for kind of rural properties with land, and on our management side, which again, often the public don't see. So as a business, our kind of public facing element of our firm is the agency. So people see what
Yeah.
houses we're selling or what farms. What they don't see, because we're not going around with a massive billboard saying, look at this work we're doing, is, we look after from the Humber to the Tees basically and across Yorkshire, tens of thousands of acres of management work for clients, which involves
Mhm.
residential, commercial, agricultural properties and traditional estates and the breadth of professional work that creates. And same with a lot of professional valuation work for lenders and other professionals on expert witness jobs, which is, yeah, really interesting and exciting to be involved with.
Nice. So in terms of how about what's the size of the team that you've got there?
So all in all, including the kind of livestock market, we have around 25 members of staff.
Mhm.
So we're a relatively small. Well, we're a small business, aren't we? But it's sizable enough that we've
Yeah.
got a bill enough every month to cover the costs. So yeah, we're a nice team. As again, we're a very laid back team. I don't set targets. I don't have, you've got to make this many phone calls, you've got to hit this many,
Mhm.
everybody kind of knows what they need to do, and I work on trust.
Yeah.
If I can see whether you're billing and whether the results are coming in. I don't need you to give me a presentation or have lots of
Yeah.
meetings where we go round and round in circles. Anybody can tell you what they want you to hear. I like to see results, and
Fair
that's what
dues.
it's all.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. And in terms of then leading that team and those kind of ethics that you've put in there of working on trust, what would you say is your biggest lesson so far from running the business?
Um, I think sometimes you can be too trustworthy, and I think sometimes I should direct people more because I'm somebody
Mhm.
who I've always liked to be left alone to my own devices, whereas
Yeah.
sometimes people do like to have their hand held. And we're very much an open door policy. No one ever needs to suffer in silence. we genuinely don't have a lot of team or office meetings. I think other firms, if they knew the lack of what we had, would be shocked. I know
Mhm.
businesses where every week they have one or two meetings. We are the complete opposite, but that's because every day we're speaking to one another. A lot of my colleagues are my best friends, to be perfectly frank. And we speak on the mobile and the car on the way to work. We talk to one another in the office. I've worked in other teams where you walk in the office and it's like a morgue. No one talks to each other. Everybody ignores one
Mhm.
another. It's that horrible environment where I think we have an office environment where everybody's on the same level. No one feels below anyone or anyone above anyone. It's
Mhm.
we're one big family basically, and you know, I probably could be a better leader by steering people more. But again, I just like to work on trust and um, you know, hopefully, yeah,
In that
that's
way.
kind of show.
And in terms of your inspiration, Tom, to kind of keep on going and doing what you're doing and head to work every day, uh, is is it the people? What is it? The team? What is it for you that really kind of inspires you to run the business?
Yeah, good question. I think we all have good and bad days. I think, I could give you the most
Yeah.
cliched answer of, oh, well, I'm doing it for whatever. I think we all have good and bad days, and it's quite cathartic to speak to other people in our industry who maybe work away from me, who I went to uni with or whatever. And it's interesting. We all often have the same problems, be it certain times you'll have staff problems, often you'll have client problems, and
Mhm.
you know there's never, I have days where I think I'm doing the best job in the world. I'm probably 80% plus out of the office, which is why I got
Yeah.
to this job. I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 in an office or a factory and be contained. I'm out on the road across Yorkshire seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of properties every year. And no job and no day is ever the same. It's so varied, which has its pros and cons. But I think ultimately it's that satisfaction that I'm working in a beautiful part of the countryside with some really interesting people across every spectrum of life. And you look, days can go by and just whirl into one. But when you sometimes sit back and look at, particularly with professional work and management work, some of the projects that you've put in place, which have created jobs or wealth
Mhm.
creation or changed people's lives, is really um,
Sure.
as pathetic as that sounds. But in terms of, we deal with a lot of kind of development land and projects
Mhm.
where making those clients get a result, it can be life changing in terms of the financial gain that creates, which allows
Yeah.
them to go on and do something else. And yeah, we just work in a nice, happy team and a nice part of the world. And yeah, just
Brilliant.
could be worse.
Love that answer. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, if you were to go back and meet yourself at the start of your business journey, knowing what you know now and offer a piece of advice, what would that be, do you think?
I think the first thing would be to enjoy all the free time you have before you start a family, which
Yeah.
I know it's got nothing to do with business, but I think until you have kids, you don't realize quite how many free hours you waste in life.
Yes,
Um,
I can concur with that.
but I don't know. I think, on a day-to-day level, in terms of advising, I don't know what I'd advise myself. I don't like to have regrets. I look at where
Mhm.
I am now, and I'm very happy at where I am. If you'd said to me 20 years ago, I'd be where I am arrogantly, I'd be delighted.
Mhm.
I think in terms of advising other people, I just think it's working hard. The harder you work, the luckier you get, the more you get out of life. Treat everybody, um, with the same respect, whether they've got a pound in the pocket or a billion in the pocket, and just be
Mhm.
yourself and do something that you enjoy. Because I think, you know, within every sector of any industry, I think sometimes people can try to portray an image that they think they should be. And I've found
Sure.
that people are idiots and people want to deal with you for who you are. And, they'll either like you or they won't like you. And I think in this
Yeah.
industry, I know there'll be some people who like me, there'll be some people who loathe me. That's just the
Mhm.
nature of the beast. And I think, you know, I used to get let a lot of things bother me in terms of feeling like sometimes you can't please all the clients all of the time, and you have to prioritize. And because you prioritize rightly or wrongly, some people get less priority and they can
Yeah.
be dissatisfied. And I think you just got to realize certain people will never be happy whatever you do, and you've done nothing wrong, and there's other people with
Yeah.
issues rather than you. And certain times you've got the justification as to why, rightly or wrongly, you have prioritized. But I think that's something that, within business, when I look back, I probably was too much of a control freak at times. Should have
Mhm.
passed more work to more people and ultimately probably given a better service to certain clients.
It's a common theme with business owners, so not alone there, especially in kind of lessons or advice
Yeah.
given. So thank you for that, Tom. Lastly, then, just before we wrap things up, in terms of latest news about what you guys are up to, or even if you want to share your website details, contact details, if someone wants to get in touch who watches this, feel free to do that now.
Yeah, we've no latest news other than it's business as usual.
Yeah,
And anybody who wants to have a look at what we do, our website's cundalls.co.uk. That's Cundalls. And yeah, we'd never have any special offers because we aren't one size fits all. We
sure.
will do the right bespoke deal. There's always a deal to be done. But I think people would be surprised by the range of work we get involved with. And if they are looking for a common sense, no BS, approachable personal service, then please give us a call. And always happy to give a second opinion.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tom. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. Appreciate you sharing all that you have, and I wish you all the best for the sort of next 20 years of the business or so.
Thank you. Cheers.